My wife, a 35-year-old female, cooks like she hates whoever does the dishes. And I, a 39-year-old male, do the dishes. It's small, but it is driving me insane. This is complicated by the fact that we have two kids, ages 2 and 4, so I do not have much free time in my life right now. I feel like my wife creates an extra 15 to 20 minutes of work for me every day, and when I get 1 hour to myself on a good day, that's a problem. My wife hates doing the dishes, and years ago I agreed I would do them because I generally don't mind. She does more of the cooking in our relationship because she likes to, and also I work longer hours and in the office more often. I will sometimes try to cook only so that I can do the dishes while I cook and not be stuck with another chore to do after dinner, but she will not let me. Not only that, but whoever is cooking isn't in charge of the kids, so it's often pretty relaxing. Our kids will not eat 80% of what we cook, which is normal I think, but the difference is, I will throw together something simple in 15 minutes, and my wife will take 45 minutes to make a complicated meal. Neither she nor the children will eat. And I would have been happy with a scrambled egg. So my wife will take a long time to cook, at a very leisurely pace, while listening to podcasts while I watch the kids. Already, I feel like I'm getting the short end of the stick. Then when she's done, I go into the kitchen and it's like a team of people prepped a 3-course meal and didn't clean a thing. All the prepped dishes are left out on the counter. Scraps aren't thrown away. Sometimes packaging is in the sink and I need to fish it out, etc. The other day, she made Kraft macaroni and cheese. This is a dish designed to be simple. The woman used 1 small bowl to put the butter, enduring prep. 1 small bowl to put the milk, enduring prep. 1 pot to cook the noodles in. 1 different pot to drain the noodles into. 1 colander to put in the pot to drain the noodles into. 1 serving spoon. None of it is put in the sink or rinsed. It's left out for me. The same dish I make with 1 pot and 1 colander, which I rinse off immediately, and I serve it with the spoon I then eat with. I feel like she's almost screwing with me at this point. Anyone else in this boat? How do you handle this? We started pretty equitable in chores and childcare, but slowly over time I feel like my wife is cutting more and more corners that lead to more work for me, and since I'm already working 10 to 20 more hours a week than her at my job, it is making me resentful. I, a 29-year-old male, disagree with my 23-year-old girlfriend's definition of commitment. Should I stand my ground? She cheated on me last year, and we got back together at the beginning of this year. It's been a rocky road since, and I struggle with the fact that she always seems to make excuses when she handles things poorly. Lately I've been at my wit's end because, in spite of the fact that I'm the one forgiving infidelity, she feels perpetually insecure. As a result, she does manipulative things trying to secure herself and turn the relationship into what she feels like she needs it to be. I'm trying to get over everything that's happened, but it gets difficult when she gets controlling. The cheating itself felt like a power play, so when she tries to bend me to her will, I get pretty triggered and usually remove myself from the situation, or ask her to leave. I honestly believe, maybe because I naively want to, that she doesn't realize what she's doing. We both had hard upbringings and I've gone through the dark night of my soul, so I know what it's like not to realize how toxic one's own behavior is. Today, we were talking about our feelings and I told her that I don't always feel like I know who she is. I explained that I feel manipulated by her conduct and emotional displays sometimes, and I choose to believe it's not intentional, but admitted that I have my doubts. She responded to this by telling me that she didn't have a lot of time left to find the person that she's going to have children with, and my lack of commitment makes her feel insecure. This rang my manipulation alarm bells super hard, and I desperately want to believe that it's a false alarm. I explained to her how much it hurt to have her question my commitment when I'm still with her after she cheated. I explained that it's only been a few months that we've been together again, and that it hasn't exactly been smooth sailing. I told her that I don't need things to be easy, but that I feel like my commitment to our relationship should be apparent in the fact that I've been navigating these rough waters with her in spite of what she did. She said that she understands that we disagree about the meaning of commitment, but that she needs to pull back to protect herself from disappointment, and that she doesn't feel like I'm committed in the way she wants. The thing that really has me doubting whether or not it's even healthy to keep trying with her is that she said, "If you're even open to the possibility that we may break up, that's not commitment." I probably already know the answer, but I need some outside feedback because I feel like I'm going insane. Please help me understand what commitment means to other people. Thank you in advance for your help. I, 27-year-old female, caught my boyfriend, 31-year-old male, messaging a girl and it was clear that are casually seeing each other. Help me work through his explanation. Based on the messages, they had obviously met before and planned to meet again. We are in a long-distance relationship and see each other every other week. The painful part was he was texting her photos of what we were doing the day before, texting her while we were watching a show and talking to her about it, and said he was visiting his cousin. He said things like, "Cuddle soon, sweet," and sending hard eyes emojis. When I confronted him, I didn't come out straight away and tell him I knew. I began by just talking about trust, and where our relationship was, and where it's going. I was hoping he would sense I already knew something and come clean, but he didn't. I finally told him I knew and felt hurt and betrayed. He apologized and then explained. This was his explanation. He said that when I decided to renew my lease this past month instead of moving closer to him, he felt like it was a matter of time before I left him again. For context, I have broken up with him twice before. Once from family pressure about religion and the other because he was the only person I'd ever dated and wanted to see what else was out there. So he said did go on some dates and was talking to this girl as an insurance policy. He said that other than dates, texting and kissing, nothing else happened. He apologized and said he does care for me. He does love me. He said that he's looking to settle down at this point and have a family. To which I replied, what woman would want to be a wife to someone who's essentially cheating before we're even married? He said that marriage would absolutely be different and he would never do this. By the end of our conversation, he said that his rationale didn't even make sense and that he's sorry for hurting me. He said he was a she-had for doing it and feels bad. He did do this before when we dated the last time. I found messages on his phone. He said that it was at a time when he wasn't sure if we were exclusive and that she was an old friend. They had texted and did meet up and kissed once, but nothing else. That time, I was hurt and sad too, but I did forgive him and we moved on. But this time, I'm really unsure whether staying with him is wise. I get what he's saying about his fear of me breaking up with him again, but why wasn't that something he would have brought up to me? Please help me with what I should do because I'm an emotional mess right now. My boyfriend, a 25-year-old male's reaction to our first pregnancy is seriously affecting me, and I could really use some advice. For context, my boyfriend and I found out a couple weeks ago that I'm pregnant, and today actually marks the first day of my second trimester. It was unplanned and definitely a shock to us both, but we've been together 5 years and have talked multiple times about wanting kids. It just so happens that it was a bit earlier than we were expecting, and although we would have liked to have had a bit more money saved, it's still more than doable with where we're at now. He just finished college to be a care aide, and I have a good job as a nurse. We were planning to move in together this spring even before we found out about the pregnancy, and for the record, I'm 100% pro-choice. I was expecting some uncertainty from him just because of the shock of it, and told him to take a few days and really think about it and to talk with me when he was ready. I'm scared shitless too, but the more I think about it, the more excited I get. But then he comes to me after only a couple days and is hell-bent on terminating. When I asked why he chose that option so quickly, he told me that he's in too much debt to do this, 15K credit student loan debt, so if we have this kid now they'd have a horrible life, grow up to be anxious and depressed. He'd have to work 65+ hours a week to support us, because apparently I call in every set and don't work enough. I work 36 hours a week, and the only times I have called in the past few months is when I was way too sick to work. And it was definitely not every week, lol. He also told me to think about how much I'll be struggling with anxiety a year from now, because I have a mental health history. It feels like he said this as a reason against having this child and not because he was concerned for me, but I could be wrong. I tried explaining to him that no one is debt-free when they have their first child, but he keeps shooting down my every suggestion reasoning with something negative. I have 25K in savings, but he doesn't, so it won't work, etc., and won't even humor the option of doing this. I had to go to my first ultrasound appointment alone. He worked, and I was so mesmerized by this little cute being with little hands and feet. It made me so happy and hopeful. When I showed him, he just hung his head and sighed, and I could feel the disappointment coming from him. This is essentially his reaction to everything to do with the baby. He's making me feel like I'm going through this alone, and even though my family friends are supportive, it doesn't replace his support that I need. The entire time we've been together, he's been nothing but supportive and just amazing in general, and we've really never had a big disagreement until now. But even after explaining the physical and emotional trauma of going through the abortion, how it could further affect my PCOS fertility issues, he's still convinced strictly because of his dad. I get where he's coming from 100%, but is it really that much of a deal breaker? This consistent negative reaction is seriously affecting me to the point where every time I think about our baby being pregnant, I get upset to the point of crying because I no longer feel happy and excited, but upset, unsure, and unsupported because of his reaction so far. I know his reaction is coming from fear, and I promise this isn't some case of him actually being a piece of shit and me being blind to it. He is a genuine, kind and loving person normally. That's why I feel so blindsided, I guess. Does anyone have a similar experience? I'm kind of at a loss on how to go on from this. In short, boyfriend of 5 years opposed to having a baby, looking for advice from someone who has been through something similar or just advice in general. P.S. If you're wondering why it took so long to figure out, I have pretty extreme seasonal allergies that cause bad post-nasal drip every spring, cue yearly nausea, headaches, nosebleeds, etc. And I had no idea pregnancy can exacerbate seasonal allergies.